Today, we'll talk about 3 different trades that I took recently. This video will be a real gem for you. I'll cover many important subjects and trading strategies. In the first section, I'll talk about how to identify possible trades and where to look for them. In the next section, I'll talk about high-risk trades and the confirmation styles before our entries. In the final part, we will go over the best possible entry style, how to find entry, target and stop loss areas. If you're ready, let's start. With this video, we will complete the swing failure pattern. I'll go over 3 trades with full of key points. If you are looking for a structured table of contents, I set it up for you. You can find it on Google Drive or directly from my website, which is in the description. And please try to watch the videos in order, otherwise you may really get confused. Let's talk about my first trade. When I look at complicated charts like this, the first thing that I ask myself is where are the imbalances, swing points, important breaks, equal highs, lows, supply-demand zones, and the liquidity hunts. Then I draw them on the chart to visualize the price action. As you can see easily, there was this major imbalance and equal highs. Price comes here by hunting all these stop losses. So my thinking style is quite simple. If the price wants to go in any direction, first it needs fill, imbalances and stop loss hunts. What I was thinking here. 1. Price hunted this downtrend liquidity. 2. The price moved even further up, creating equal highs. 3. Price touched this imbalance. At this point, I simply think, okay, price collected enough fill. It can go down now. All I need is a confirmation. This is why I say the best confirmations comes with low time frames. Let's go down to 15 minutes time frame and find a confirmation. As you can see here, price hunts equal highs from the high time frame and taps the imbalance. What else do we have here? A form of a swing failure pattern. This is not a real swing failure pattern. I call these considerable swing failure patterns, weakness of a movement, because price goes up and suddenly drops. This indicates to me that this is a stop loss hunt action. This is how I read the price action structure. I do not care about what others think. Now, as I tweeted recently, without a target, there is no trade at all. If you cannot find yourself a target, please do not enter a trade. And the best target in the trading world is a combination of equal highs lows with imbalance. You cannot find a better target than this. How did I enter this trade? I used our old beloved ROTE, Reverse Optimal Trade Entry with Fibonacci. Very simple, rule-based pattern to trade. I will not go into detail about Reverse Optimal Trade Entry. We already covered that in our free price action trading course. Please check those videos. Let's talk about my second trade. This was a bit riskier than normal. However, I had enough confirmation to trade in high time frames. First of all, let's talk about swing failure patterns. This pattern is actually everywhere. You can see it with almost every internal swing. This is why I said that. Focus on major swing points, highs and lows, rather than micro internal swings inside these major swings. The first confirmation I got was that there was a 1 hour imbalance coming from way back to fuel our movement. I'm gonna say this again. Check the left of your chart. Sometimes you may need to go back weeks, months or years. I do not care. Just check it until you find the price and see if there is a price action structure that may fuel your entry. There was a double swing failure pattern. This was my second confirmation. Price obviously came here to hunt the stop losses. And the next step is simple. In order to enter a trade, I have to see a target. I keep asking myself, where is this price trying to go? What is its objective? And again, same things, equal lows and half-filled imbalance, my favorite target. Once I saw the candlestick close, I confirmed this is a proper swing failure pattern. With the multiple level confirmations and a clear target, I entered the trade with a market order. My stop loss was above the candlestick. This was a nice and simple trade. If you just go and backtest it, you'll see this thing keeps happening again and again. Let's talk about my latest trade. This was the best trade that I took with the combination of high time frames and low time frames. First of all, you can easily notice the swing failure pattern with the 1 hour time frame. With this pin bar candlestick close, it is confirmed as a real swing failure. However, I do not see any other confirmations for us yet to enter a trade. Let's check if there's a target, any place that price may move to. You can easily notice how the equal lows formed below and the significant imbalance. Once I confirmed the targets and the swing failure pattern, I opened low time frames and waited for an entry. I checked out 15, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 minutes to see the price action. I like the 2 minutes chart. First of all, you can easily witness the market structure break right here. A very clear and high quality break. The way that I like it the most. And you can see the large imbalances with the break. This gives me clear ideas about where the price should pull back and fuel up before its major downwards movement. I also see the equal highs up there. This is even better. If the price wants to move down, it needs to fill up first. This equal high and imbalance combo will be a great fuel station for our ride. What else? Of course, our beloved premium and discount zones. It is best to sell anything as expensive as possible. Think about your mobile phone. When you try to sell it, are you trying to sell at the highest possible price or sell it cheap? Let's zoom out a bit and see the trade. My entry was a bit late because it was early in the morning and I was busy. I entered with a market order. My first target was this imbalance, to take partial profits. My big target was the high time frame equal lows and imbalances below. However, I want to repeat this again. Always try to take partial profits, secure some profits. Just focus on growing your account. Do not be a hero. Price could have easily filled up from this imbalance and move upwards and hunt those major equal lows much later. Who knows? There is no certainty with trading. You should protect your money at all costs. Okay folks, this is it. Completed the swing failure pattern. So you can use it in your trading life as a day trader or even scalper. I hope you subscribe to the channel and like the video. Thank you, take care and see you soon.